Hello again, my friends. So I sent that recording to you and I realized that it was muted. And so take two, plot twist. So funny. So I'm all warmed up now for you. Um, and what I had shared in the beginning of the last video that I sent is that I'm back. So I know I took a little bit of a hiatus while we got a little busy. So if you've been waiting on these, I don't know if anyone watches these. I am back. And so I thought while I was gone that it might be helpful instead of doing what I did in the past where we go through a whole flow together. I decided to try to maybe take just a couple poses at a time and really take time to break them down. So, really taking time to go through the alignment of it, because alignment or how we kind of set up our posture in yoga poses is truly everything. And so, when we have time to, again, really slow it down and break it down and describe what you should and could be feeling in detail, it just helps you kind of feel out the pose for yourself so that when you do go to a yoga class, maybe mine or someone else's, and they're calling out poses, you have that experience of feeling it in your body and you're familiar with it. Because I know sometimes like moving fast isn't always helpful for people who are new and getting the basics down. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there, and I'm open to feedback about how that's working for you. Or if you liked doing flow style better. So yeah, on that note, today we're going to do a little bit of work between two poses. The first is standing. So you might be amazed how much actually is taken into consideration in a standing yoga pose that is a yoga pose. And a forward fold. So two really simple moves that you'll see all the time, pretty much in every yoga class you'll ever take. So yeah, on that note, we'll get started. So bear with my camera work. I am like a one-woman show here, so I might need to mess around with this a little bit so you can see. I do have a mat that you may or may not be able to see at times, but that's okay. You can use one if you have one or not. I also have a block with me. Really, the block's job is to bring the floor closer to you. So when we do go into that fold, it can be handy just to have something to rest your hands on. It doesn't have to be a block. I've used in the past a water bottle, I don't know, a stack of books, really anything you have on hand is perfectly fine. But you don't need one at all. So we're going to get started with that standing pose. So in yoga, standing pose is known as mountain pose. And this is really helpful to break down because truly the alignment that we find in the standing pose is the blueprint for what we're looking for in every other yoga pose. This is kind of the foundation. So we're going to build it from the bottom up. It might feel extra detailed, so just like play around with it. And if some of the things that I'm describing don't quite make sense or you're not quite feeling it, I would again encourage you to just keep experimenting and playing around. And know that some of these things take time to really get the sense of. But this is a great place to start. So glad you're here. I'll invite you to start by just taking a look at, if you're not standing already, I guess go ahead and stand on your mat and take a look down and see how it is we usually stand. So I'll just preface by saying a lot of us stand with our toes kind of out or maybe pigeon-toed in. Sometimes there's like a shift of the weight one way or the other, or we like to kind of stick our butt out, or like, we all have things we like to do. And so starting from the bottom, I will just have you from wherever you are, start to bring the feet about as wide as your hips. So maybe walking them in a little bit more, out a little bit more so that, we get a sense of like feet under hips. Toes facing forward. So depending on how we typically stand, we might need to spin them in a little bit and the heels out or vice versa. But the feet are one long line, toes are forward. And from here, I'll invite you to shift the weight a little bit forward and back. So we're just kind of rocking to the balls of the feet, shifting weight, and then rocking to the heels a bit. And something about feeling that weight shift forward and back can help us tune into what center might feel like. Where's the center of my foot? So almost as if each of your feet were a rectangle, we can start to kind of feel like where the corners might be of that rectangle. And I even like to lift my toes, which I'm doing right now, spread them wide. Again, feeling really connected to the base of your foot. And then from the pinky toe side, lowering down the toes one at a time. So like one pinky toe, second toe, middle toe, index toe, big toe. Yeah. So now you should feel, again, a firm rooted connection of the feet to the earth, almost like there's a suction cup on the sole of your foot, rooting you there, okay? Strong base. From there, we want to think about stacking when it comes to yoga alignment. So by that, I mean stacking our joints so that our skeleton is in a place it likes to be, that's happy for our joints and our bones. And so from that really strong rooted position, we'll keep our knees gently bent. So we never want to like lock out the knees and press them super far back. There's always like a softness or a buoyancy to the knees. And we're stacking knees over ankles. So again, depending on how we typically like to stand, we might be drawing those legs and thighs, engaging the muscles, pulling them back a bit. Yeah, and again, if we tend to stick our booty out or jut our back, or if we've got a big arch here, we can think about gently tucking the pelvis under or kind of drawing the tailbone underneath us. And that can kind of help with this feeling of lifting through the thighs. It's almost like we're engaging the muscles up and back with that tucked tail. Okay? So yes, lift through the thighs, knees over ankles, slight tuck of the pelvis, and that pelvic tilt or slight tuck of the tailbone will also help us feel our belly. So that's where we're going to bring attention to next. So whenever we're in a yoga pose, no matter what it is, we, in a perfect world, are always thinking about keeping the core engaged. So some ways to kind of tap into that feeling are to think about drawing the belly button in and up. So kind of tightening up those core muscles so we could suck our belly button in. And I like to think too about my rib cage, like as if my hands were my ribs. It's almost like we could knit them together. There's this drawing in and up of energy in the belly that helps us, again, feel really sturdy and rooted. So feet are grounded, knees over ankles, soft bend, drawing up through those thigh muscles, core engaged, tailbone tucked. We should, at this point, be feeling a whole lot of muscle activation happening in the body, happening in our trunk. So everything is engaged, awake, alert, and we're working our muscles, even just in the standing pose. So from this really sturdy trunk, we can extend the arms and just let them rest by your side. And I'll invite you to turn the palms forward. Something about turning the palms forward helps us to relax the shoulders, roll them down, and also open through the chest, which is what we want to do. So this is our mountain pose. So again, as we stand here, taking some deep breaths really just to feel this, I'll take you through that alignment once again. So feeling your feet rooting into the earth, feeling those soft knees balancing over your ankles, energy pulling up from those roots through your thighs. We lift up, engage the belly, relax the shoulders. Let the shoulders soften away from the ears, soften in the face, and feel your breath. You might even start to feel as you breathe in a lifting, like there's a lightness, crown of your head kind of stretches a little bit more to the sky. And as we exhale, we can imagine rooting again into those feet. Yeah, so extending long through the spine. It's like we have that strong root at our base so that we can lift and grow really long and light out of that. So that's the feeling we're trying to get. Yeah, and again, so much happening here. We are, again, alive, engaged, alert, muscles working. I have a yoga teacher who would, in a mountain pose, come around and like push us. to make sure we weren't just like chilling where I would fall over, that we're really, again, working those muscles and we're actively engaged. So that if I were to come by and give you a little push, that root is so strong, we can anchor here. Lovely, guys. So this is mountain pose. I know a lot going on just in standing, and we can even add just a little bit of movement here to start to feel a sense of flow. So from your mountain, palms down, I'll invite you to, on an inhale, turn palms so that they're facing the sky, and we'll reach those arms all the way up overhead. So stretching again through the chest, stretch through the side body as we maybe look up towards those fingertips. And then as we exhale, we can flip the palms down and start to press them away from the earth or away from the sky. Yeah, so we can feel that a couple more times. Flipping palms up, inhale, sweeping arms up overhead, maybe looking up at the top, and then exhale, fanning the arms down. So slow and steady, taking as long as it takes you to breathe in, to lift and circle sweep those arms up, growing out of those feet, and then exhale, fanning the arms down. Beautiful, guys. Yeah. Awesome. So that's mountain pose. Next pose I'll take you step by step through is what's known as a forward fold. So, think of like a toe touch. I'm going to adjust my computer a little bit so you can see. And this might be a good time for a block. So from our mountain pose, I'm going to turn to the side again just for cueing. So again, from that strong center alignment, knees over ankles, all that good stuff we talked about, we will simply soften the knees. So putting a slight bend so that we can start to pour our upper body over those legs. So it's this feeling of, again, rooting through those feet and drawing energy up from pressing into the feet. And you'll start to straighten the legs, feeling that energy again, moving up through the backs of the legs into your hips. So the feeling is pressing into the feet enough to straighten the legs and lift through the sit bones. So it's like we're pressing our sit bones, our tailbone back and up to the sky. Yeah, and again, it takes some feeling around maybe to feel that action or kind of playing with it. You might soften the knees a lot, put a bend to them and then straighten the legs, thinking about pressing again those sit bones to the back of the room to kind of feel that energy. And my hamstrings are really tight. That's the tightest part of my body. And so my knees, if I'm going to touch the floor, will have a bend to them, you can see. So that's fingertips on the floor. That's fine. You can always have a soft bend in the knees. And remember, we don't want to lock out the knees ever, jamming them back. So there's always that softness. Yeah, and this is a leg stretch. So we want to straighten through the legs as much as we can. And then the upper body can just kind of hang. So you might, if your fingertips aren't touching the floor, enjoy a little sway. This is really nice to release the low back, kind of swaying side to side, or I like to grab opposite elbows even and sway a little like this. Yeah, beautiful, guys. Another option, these are just things to play with, is to make this a little bit more of an active stretch by grabbing onto maybe the thighs or the calves or ankles even, and pulling with your arms to draw your chest closer to your thighs. So drawing chest and belly down. It's almost like we pull on the legs to bring our head closer to the floor too. Just an option. So that's more active. That'll work our muscles a little bit more, whereas the swaying or just dangling or, resting hands on a block. This is a really good time for a block. So if the floor is super far away or feeling uncomfortable, we can always bring our hands to a block. And again, let that be the floor. So let's just pause here, feeling a couple deep breaths all into the back of the legs. Again, thinking about pressing into the feet to shoot your tailbone back and up to the sky. Should feel like a lot happening in the backs of the legs, the hips area. And if that's the case, wonderful. Breathe into that intensity. Awesome, guys. I'm going to show you one more little move before we put it all together. And it's what we call a half lift. So this is something, again, you'll see in yoga all the time from our forward fold. It starts here. You again can use your block or your object, or maybe you slide fingertips up the shins just to extend the spine evenly. We're lifting up halfway and making like a flat tabletop shape with our spine. Exhale, folding back in. Beautiful. Let's try that a couple times. Inhale, drawing fingertips up, or again, pressing into your block to lift the chest, rolling the shoulders back and away from the neck. So we're rotating shoulders back. Shoulder blades melt down the spine. Exhale, folding back in. Awesome. Let's try a few more times. Inhale to lift, spreading through the collarbones. Flat back, tailbone pressing back. Exhale, fold it in. Inhale to lift halfway. Engaging that belly. Again, shooting tailbone back, making a nice table like someone could set a plate on your spine. Exhale, folding in. Beautiful, guys. There's a couple ways to come out of this. So the first one is just to, again, soft bend in the knees. Let your upper body I almost said hang or dangle. And then press into those feet, strong legs to roll up, bone by bone. Head comes last, so we're stacking our spine. Yeah, and then finding that mountain pose at the top. Cool? All right, guys. So I have a little combination routine, almost like a dance routine we can put together, just to feel how these poses often fit together in a yoga class. So starting at the top of your mat, find your mountain pose. So again, you can do a quick little scan, head to toe, maybe a little rock on the feet. Spread the toes, feel those four corners, those suction cups in the center, rooting through those feet. Drawing energy up the legs, pulling up through those thigh muscles, tailbone tucks, belly tightens up and engages. Lift and lengthen through the chest, crown of the head, the spine gets long, palms face forward. Here we are, we're in our mountain pose. Take a couple deep breaths here. Just to feel the energy of this shape. So much to focus on. So many things we can pay attention to, things we're feeling in our body, checking with that alignment. Yeah, and then just like we did, let's inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. This time, let those palms touch overhead, making a prayer shape. And as we exhale, we'll draw that prayer down through heart center. So pauses at our chest. Two more just like that. Inhale, big sweep, feeling a stretch in the sides of the body, maybe turning up the chin to look at our fingertips at the top. Exhale to draw that prayer shape down through the body. Yeah, big breath in, last time. As we exhale, we can take that prayer all the way down into our fold. So the knees soften. And yeah, we hang out in our fold for a moment. We can sway a little bit again, maybe shake the head, yes and no, or grab those opposite elbows. Or maybe we choose to take that more active option where we're grabbing onto the backs of the legs, pulling the crown of our head towards the floor, folding over those thighs. And then from here, guys, we're going to do those 3 half lifts. So inhale, lifting up halfway, stretching through the collarbone. Exhale, folding forward. 2 more like that. Shoulder blades roll down the back. Inhale, flat back, chest lifts. Peeking up. Exhale, folding. Beautiful. Last time, guys. Inhale, up. Nice flat back. Extend, get long. Exhale, fold all the way in. And then from here, soften the knees. Press into the feet, bone by bone. We roll all the way up to standing. Beautiful. Arms sweep up at the top. Exhale, hands through heart center. Amazing. Let's do 2 more like that, guys. So many options and variations to play with. So feel free to do this in a way that feels good to you. We can inhale, sweep arms up. Another way we can come down is to swan dive. So we can exhale like we did in the beginning. Take the arms out wide. And then from here, flat back down. Arms stay wide and we fold in at the bottom. Exhale into that forward fold. Again, pausing maybe for an extra breath. Inhale, lift up halfway. pressing into those feet, shooting hips back, chest forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold it in. Last time we inhale, flat back, chest forward, maybe a little slight smile. And then exhale, fold it in. And another way we can come up is what we call a reverse swan dive. So arms come out to the side like wings, and with a flat back, strong core, press into those feet to come all the way up to standing. Arms again, sweep up overhead. Exhale through heart center. Yeah, just giving you different angles to see from. Let's do one more together, you guys. You got this. Find that mountain pose. Inhale, big sweep. Choose your own adventure, any variation, prayer or swan dive. Exhale into that fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold it in. 2 more at your own pace. Inhale, shoulder blades pinch together, roll down the back, lift the chest. Exhale, fold. Last time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold it in. Finding your own way up on an inhale, pressing into those feet. Rising up, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's pause here, maybe even close your eyes, feeling your thumbs pressing into your chest. Maybe noticing, just seeing how you feel in this standing pose now, if it feels any different than when you started. Again, maybe body's feeling a little more engaged, alert, awake, alive, active. And maybe we take some of this energy, this consciousness around how we feel standing in our body for the rest of the day. Maybe taking a moment to check in with how we naturally stand and seeing if we can bring some of this energy to it. Moving more mindfully throughout whatever's coming next for us today. And with that, I will say namaste, guys. I hope this worked this time. Yeah, and I hope that was helpful. So always feel free to let me know how that was for you or if you have questions. And thank you so much. See you next week.